Ben Thompson presented BBC Breakfast on his own on Sunday morning. BBC Breakfast was interrupted on Sunday morning to make way for a breaking news announcement. Ben Thompson presented the programme solo before cutting to his colleague, who was reporting live from Munich. Introducing his co-star, Lise Doucet, BBC's chief international correspondent, Ben began, "Today, the US is to begin direct talks with Russia within days to seek an end to the war in Ukraine, and that comes as Sir Keir Starmer and other European leaders prepare to meet tomorrow at an emergency summit over concerns that Europe is being locked out of peace talks." BBC's chief international correspondent Lise Doucet sends us this report. A breaking news banner appeared on the screen as Lise shared an update with viewers. She described the news as the darkest and gloomiest, explaining, "Well, the 61st Munich Security Conference is closing today, and I have to say that so many of the Europeans that I speak to have said that this was the darkest, gloomiest mood of Munich that they have ever seen in its history. And the long shadow that's been passed over is the real feeling that what they call the rules-based international system is now crumbling." As images appeared on the screen, the reporter continued, "In large part because what they see is the very personalized peacemaking of President Donald Trump, and in particular what seemed to be in their eyes, his moves to try to take control of efforts to end the war in Ukraine, and that has really concentrated minds here. The EU foreign policy has convened a meeting of the European ministers who are still here to share their reflections on what they have learned in this conference, particularly from the American delegation, which was headed by Vice President J.D. Vance. And even more, we now hear that President Emmanuel Macron of France is trying to convene an emergency summit in Paris on Monday, calling European leaders to the French capital to discuss the very real risks to Europe's security and what they see as President Trump's efforts to try to cut them out of the peace process. They want to discuss what President Trump says. They want to find a European way of looking at this. They also want to discuss security guarantees for Ukraine in the event a peace process and peace talks ever emerging." She added, "They want to find a European response to President Trump at this moment because they feel that the risks are simply too high and that Europe now has to act fast, even though they will continue to hope there will be some way of cooperating to say what's called here, the transatlantic partnership, and they realize this is the moment that Europe really has to step up." Lise then cut back to Ben in the studio, who continued with the rest of today's headlines. Ben appeared alone on the red sofa on Sunday while his co-host Nina Warhurst took a break for half-term. Nina also confirmed her break on Instagram as she shared a snap with her son.